What's going on, YouTube fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of Hood Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For my day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with all your family and friends. Everybody is welcome. With that being said, let's get right into the story. People move in a lot of different ways while navigating life. For example, you might have an individual that's reserved, stays more to themselves. They don't really rotate with a lot of people or do friends. But more than likely, that's probably from previous experiences. Trying to be a sociable person and they got crossed or realized a lot of times friendships come at a price. But on the flip side of that, you have people that have big friend groups and circles. They do everything together, go on trips, have dinner dates at each other's houses. They believe in the old school values of friendship. Usually, if you are lucky enough to find yourself in the right circle with the right group of friends, it can be beneficial on a lot of levels. Y'all can bounce ideas off each other, discuss business plans and ventures, or just show each other different ways to get money. Now, while all that sounds productive and on the up and up, we all know the downside of friendships is having a fallout, which usually happens over somebody talking about the other person behind their back, maybe getting a little bit too familiar with their friend's significant other, or one of the main reasons people fall out is money. While some are a little bit more forgiving and understand people are human and make mistakes, others don't let go that easy. They hold on to that anger, and that love they once had for their homie goes out the window. With men, you add in money, ego, somebody feeling tried, and friends can turn to enemies real fast. And depending on the individual, the outcome could be fatal. And on this episode of Hood Tales, we'll be taking it to Columbia, South Carolina to discuss the case of two friends' scheme for some fast money that backfired in a crazy way. Back in 2020, the world was in one of the most serious pandemics we had ever seen. People were losing their lives, jobs and businesses were not secure, families were struggling, and we all were locked down waiting for answers. But while some people were mentally drained and going through it, others were reaping the benefits, rather unemployment because their job shut down, loans, and some even found ways to pull a move and get extras. In Columbia, South Carolina, that was the case for two friends. At the time, 26-year-old Telvin Jackson and his right-hand man and friend, 24-year-old Kamori Scott. Telvin had his own place, which him and his girlfriend lived at together. And Kamori and all their other friends would often come over, kick it, and hang out. The two men did everything together. Their girlfriends were even cool with each other. So in the midst of the pandemic, they did what they always did, thought of a way to make some money. The plan was to come up with a scheme to sign as many people up for unemployment as possible. As back then, it was so much going on, the government and most states really couldn't determine who was really eligible or just making claims. And once the checks started pouring in, the friends would split the money. After a few weeks, Kamori started hearing Telvin was getting the checks and was shopping and splurging. Feeling played, his homie didn't call him to give him his half of the money. On May 20th, 2020, he pulled up to Telvin's house. He wasn't home, but his girlfriend was dead. Scared because Kamori was demanding money, she called Telvin. Then she called the police, but no report was ever filed because Kamori left the home. A few days later, on May 26th, Kamori got word Telvin was home with a pocket full of money showing off. So he got an associate to take him to his homie's house. When he got there, things took a turn though. Feeling like Telvin was trying him and playing with his money, they blocked Telvin in, and Kamori walked up to the car, put a gun to Telvin's head, and said, bro, where my money at? Telvin told him, I told you I was going to give it to you. Here it is right here, and gave him a stack of cash, in which at first, Kamori threw it back at him, feeling like it wasn't enough. Until Telvin explained to him, like, bro, we good. This going to be every week. After that, he calmed down, gathered the money, and his peoples that dropped him off left. After that, not being blocked in anymore, Telvin also left. Kamori stayed at his house and told him he would wait for him to get back. He called his girlfriend and told her he had to pull a gun on Telvin, but it was all good and they were fixing the situation. He was waiting for him to pull back up. But on the other end, Telvin had called local police, claiming he had just been robbed. He stated he was mad and he was going to his father's house to get a gun and he was going to shoot Kamori. When Telvin pulled back up to his house, his homie was still out front waiting to chop it up. He walked right up to him and opened fire before running to a neighbor's backyard. Witnesses who saw everything called local police, who responded to the scene to find Kamori suffering from a single gunshot wound to the stomach, and unfortunately, he wouldn't survive his injuries. Telvin was in a neighbor's yard with the gun in his hand. He was taken into custody, charged with first-degree hit, as he told police his friend had robbed him and he was in fear for his life. When they asked why go get a gun and come back, he stated because he knew Kamori was still there with his weapon. He explained about the unemployment scheme they came up with and that they were supposed to split the money. 4 years later, as the case started making its way to trial, the prosecution painted a case of greed and premeditated hit, claiming Telvin wanted all the money to himself, and he went and got a gun knowing he would come back and take his friend's life. Kamori's family spoke out on how hurt they were, and they couldn't believe Telvin would do that, as they were best friends and had been through everything together. As the jury heard all the facts, they found Telvin not guilty on a more serious charge of first-degree hit, but guilty on a lesser charge of voluntary manslaughter. At sentencing, he apologized for his actions and stated it was never supposed to go down like that. He expressed his love for Kamori before being sentenced to 20 years in prison. Rest in peace to Kamori. I send my prayers and condolences to his family. With all the schemes that was going on in 2020, the PPP loans, people are still getting jammed up for, but it was a dark time for a lot of people. They wasn't thinking about the future, only survival during the pandemic. This is a tough one though, because I see both sides' points of view. Kamori was feeling like his homie was ducking him, spending all the money, but once you up a gun, in my opinion, the friendship is over. Telvin drove off, got a gun, and thought about what he was about to do. I think he felt disrespected, and at that point, the friendship was out the window, all over some unemployment money. But I want to leave this one open for discussion. Who do y'all feel like was wrong in the situation? And have you yourself ever had a similar situation where you had a fallout with a friend and things went a little bit too far to the point y'all became enemies? Let me know in the comments. And remember, we gotta succeed, not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Yeah, man, crazy story. Rest in peace, that man. I definitely send my prayers to his family. But I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. This is another episode of Hood Tales. This your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam. I'm out.